What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. You know who I am, and welcome to another episode of Film Stock Reviews. In this episode, I'm reviewing Zack Snyder's Justice League. Now, I was very hesitant to check this movie out because we got that horrible, dismal 2017 version, which Joss Whedon directed, and we all know the backstory behind that, how that came to fruition. Basically, Zack Snyder left the project before post-production was completed for Justice League, and then WB, Warner Brothers, decided to bring in Joss Whedon to complete everything. Well, that was a big mistake, and we got the terrible, terrible movie that we all know, which is the 2017 Justice League. Now, fans demanded a view and vision of Zack Snyder's version. What is it? What happened? And, why did he leave? Well, he left the project due to his daughter passing away. I won't go into detail on how that happened, as to out to respect for Zack Snyder and his family. The fans wanted something better. I mean, listen, the reason Justice League was put out there so fast was to compete with Marvel, and we all know that. As comic book fans like myself, we all know that was the case. Now, what kind of movie this would be, we don't know. It was talked about, and it finally happened. Zack Snyder's Justice League was slated to come out, and now it is out on HBO Max, which came out March 18th, 2021. So it's fairly new, and it's a 4-hour and 2-minute movie. Evidently, the movie was supposed to be broken up into a miniseries or episodic watch view, and then they just decided to break it up into a, chapter progression movie and give you a 4-hour film. Listen, this is worth it. Sometimes I complain about a 4-hour movie, but I'm not complaining about this because this is what we wanted. This is what I wanted. This movie is the best in the DC Extended Universe, and I really mean that. It's actually better than every other movie combined because there has not been a good DC Extended Universe movie. We could say the origin stories of Aquaman, Wonder Woman were okay, but hey, let's leave that on the back burner for now. This is what we wanted, this is what it was intended, and this is what the vision of Zack Snyder was. Each character has a story arc in this movie, which the 2017 version did not have. The best thing about this movie is that Ben Affleck is tolerable as Bruce Wayne and Batman. He plays a better Bruce Wayne than he does a Batman, but then some people might say he's a better Batman than a Bruce Wayne. Well, contrary to popular belief, that's not the case in my opinion. This movie was good. We already know the story of Batman. We already know what happened to Superman if you didn't see the original 2017 version and how this movie starts out. The movie starts out where we see the events of Batman, Superman, Dawn of Justice, and how everything portrays and how everything is put together. The good, interesting part about this is that we already know what Batman's about, we already know what Wonder Woman's about, we already know what Superman's about. This movie dives into the lore of more so of Aquaman, how he's trying to find himself, how he's trying to, prepare for this so-called war that's happening. The Flash is giving much more of a broad role, which is fantastic. He has more of a story arc. Aquaman has more of a story arc. But I loved how much more of a story Cyborg had in this movie. He was the front and center point of everything. He is the one that made everything work together. You could say he is the strong point of the team. I could say the weak point of the team could be maybe the Flash, because he's so, the comedic role aspect to everything. But from what this movie was really, really good. When each character in this movie, in a 4-hour movie, has a story arc, and that explains things much better than the 2017 version did. Wow, I applaud Zack Snyder for doing this because, this is what the fans wanted. The thing that I enjoyed the most was the in-depth story of how the mother boxes worked and how the unity forms and what happens when it does form and what it's used for. That wasn't really explained in the 2017 version, and that is really sad to say because I'm pretty sure it would have been a better movie if it was. Now, with that, the mother boxes and the unity, so to speak, were kind of, for the backbone for Darkseid. Darkseid was not seen in the 2017 version. Darkseid is seen in this version, and it's fucking fantastic. And I have to say it that way because Darkseid is the big threat in this movie. Even though he has minor scenes. He's maybe in, I want to say, 5 scenes total in the entire 4-hour movie, because they're building him up to be what a big villain is in the DC universe, because he's basically the Thanos in the DC universe, and he probably is much more powerful than Thanos himself. Darkseid is the one pulling the strings, and we even see Descend in this, making his big, movie debut, who is the right-hand man to Darkseid, which is fantastic. He's a creepy looking, figure in this, and he is telling Steppenwolf what to do by orders of the Darkseid. Sometimes Darkseid is not even mentioned by name. He's either called Master or My Lord, or he's coming to this world, which is great. So when you don't actually use the villain's name, it actually means it's more menacing and more scary and more of a threat in a comic book movie. I did absolutely love how Steppenwolf was portrayed in this movie. The design was 100 times better and made 100 times more sense, and the character had a story arc. We saw scenes from Steppenwolf that we didn't see in the 2017 original Justice League by Joss Whedon, I want to say. The reason being, it's Joss Whedon's vision. The CGI was horrible, the CGI rendering was bad, and being a filmmaker like myself, I could say that version was horrible. Compared to this version side by side, as if you can see now right here, you can see this version, Zack Snyder's version, was much better. Steppenwolf was a threat. Steppenwolf did what he had to do. He killed, he pillaged, he did all the things that he had to do in order to serve Darkseid, in order to get on his good graces again. Because Steppenwolf has a backstory that was not in the 2017 version. And with this version, we actually understand why Steppenwolf is doing this, why he needs the mother boxes, and why he must actually be on the good side and graces of Darkseid after what, kind of events that happened and occurred between the two of them, and why Steppenwolf was actually doing the work. It's said that through Descend that, Steppenwolf is a failure, he doesn't know what he's doing, but Steppenwolf wants to step up and actually show that he can do it. But then, hey, the Justice League get in the way. This movie, from start to finish, is really good. Seeing the aspect of the other underlining characters was good. Lois Lane isn't in it that much. Maybe she's in 2 or 3 scenes. And I do want to say that some of the 2017 scenes are in this movie, but they're done better. The editing is much more better. The CGI rendering is much more better. The fight scene where Superman, after he wakes up, is really good and much more better. You can see the CGI is much better and everything works and it's much more crisper. There are certain scenes in this movie that you watch, you're like, okay, that wasn't in the 2017 version. Oh, this is new. This is in the 2017 version. I did hope that when I did hear that this was coming out, I wanted to see more of Jeremy Irons as Alfred. And we did get to see that, which I'm really happy about. Because as a prolific actor as Jeremy Irons is, you don't put that character Alfred aside like they did in the 2017 Justice League version. Because in the 2017 version, he was probably only maybe in it for 3 or 4 scenes at the most, and that was it. He was more prominent in Batman, Superman, Dawn of Justice, but that was its own movie, and that was its own story. But having him in Justice League, Zack Snyder's version, was much more better. The reason I say that is because he actually played a part in this. He helped Batman. He helped the team do certain things. And Jeremy Irons actually, put some puns here and there, actually made jokes and was a comic relief other than being the Flash, who was also the other comedic role in this movie. Jeremy Irons' role as Alfred was big, like I said, and he had close to about 8 to 10 scenes in total, which is a huge jump from Joss Whedon's 2017 version. Listen, when you have Jeremy Irons playing Alfred, the second hand to Batman Bruce Wayne, you need this role prominent. Of course, we've had many Alfreds over the years. Michael Gough, Michael Caine. They played prominent roles in Bruce Wayne Batman's storyline. And for Joss Whedon to cut it out in the 2017 version was atrocious. But thank God for Zack Snyder and what he did, and actually completed the role for Jeremy Irons and Alfred. Some of the scenes were redone, reshot, re-rendered, and I read that $70 million was given to the final budget to, help the special effects, the editing, and make things better and crisper. Thank God we didn't get the whole horrible mouth rendering from Superman and the whole mustache debacle, because that was bad. We don't see that at all in this. We see Henry Cavill as Superman, and it's great. He finally puts on the black suit and becomes Dark Superman. Well, of course, the whole story. Granted, WB Warner Brothers did stop Zack Snyder from putting a long-haired mullet on Henry Cavill in order to, progress and perfect the role, which I think would have been much better. But hey, we got the movie that we deserved as fans, and we wanted it, and that happened. The thing is with this movie is that, and here's a spoiler, if you don't want to know, because I know people haven't seen it yet, but Martian Manhunter does appear. And he's only in the movie in 2 scenes. I just want to say 2 scenes, and that's it. He plays a big prominent role in this, and you could say that it actually builds up to a sequel, which this movie rightfully needs and deserves. The movie does need a sequel, maybe even 2 more sequels, Justice League 2 and 3. Put everything together and make this what this movie is. Warner Brothers DC Extended Universe needs to be dark. It doesn't need to be comical. It doesn't need to be, bad. This movie is rated R for blood and violence and gore and some suggestive language. There are some times where fuck is said or, other words that are said. And there's a scene where Batman and Joker, yes, Joker is in this. Jared Leto's Joker. This is a different Joker version than we know from seeing from the Suicide Squad. They released images online of what Jared Leto as Joker would look like. Those scenes were redone due to Zack Snyder wanting to add a nightmare scene. Of course, we know the nightmare scene that happened in the 2017 version, but then we get more of an in-depth look at what Batman's nightmare scene is in this movie. I did like the scene and the back and forth with Batman and the Joker and with Ben Affleck and Jared Leto, because, hey, when that was announced a long way back a few years ago that Batman would be played by Ben Affleck and Jared Leto would be playing the Joker, we wanted to see those two come to heads and butt heads. Well, we got that in this, but they didn't do anything. They didn't fight. Give us that movie. Give us the Ben Affleck Batman movie that has Jared Leto as the Joker, as the Zack Snyder Justice League Joker, not the Suicide Squad Joker. We don't need that shit. That shit is horrible and really, really stupid. This one looks more menacing, looks more psycho, looks more maniacal, looks like he can do more damage to Ben Affleck's Batman. Of course, we all know the whole story about who Joker killed and, the ramifications of what Batman's trying to do and trying to get back at Joker for doing and who he killed. If you don't know that story, then you're not really a comic book fan. And you're not really following what's been happening all this time. I do want to say that scene at the, somewhat, tease that we did get in the trailer between Batman and Joker is prominent in this movie. And the reason I say that is because it could lead to a sequel. Yeah, it could lead to that, which is really, really good. I want to see that happen, but will we see that? Who knows? The Warner Brothers has a say that they're not looking forward to make a sequel, but I believe they will, and they will greenlight it because of the positive aspirations and the positive feedback that the fans are giving this movie. This movie is really well done. The action scenes are great. The comedic aspect is great. The storytelling is 100 times, if not better than the 2017 version. No scene lacks in depth. You think a scene is very slow moving, but then the next scene picks up and we keep moving and keep going. Steppenwolf is a big, big part in this. He keeps the story going also, which is really, really good. There's even sublining characters in this movie that could be also spin-off movies. Adam is in this, and with that character being in it and working for Silas, you could do anything and a lot of things. But the thing is with that is that Warner Brothers doesn't want to do certain things, and the problem with that is that Warner Brothers needs to leave the creative control to the directors and the writers. Warner Brothers comes in and makes a shit movie of the 2017 version that we all know what happened. They brought in Joss Whedon. They figured, oh, he did the Avengers and the Avengers Age of Ultron. Let's see if he can actually make our Justice League much better and compare to it. No, that wasn't the case. That was utter horse shit of a movie. When I saw it with another buddy of mine who I do Cinema Titans with, who is my co-host, my good friend Mario, we both sat there watching a movie like, okay, what is this shit? We didn't expect the Zack Snyder cut to happen, but when we found out there was a Zack Snyder cut, or the director's cut, so forth that they say it is, we knew something good was going to happen. Would this movie have made money at the box office if it was released as a 4-hour movie? Maybe. But nobody's going to sit through a 4-hour movie and, you know, watch somewhat of the same thing that happened in the 2017 version, just with added scenes. There are a lot of critics out there, and I do want to say movie critics, who don't know what they're saying when they watch this movie. They say that sometimes it was certain daily shots or some cutting room floor that they picked up and put back into the movie. What the hell are you talking about? This is a 100% different movie than what it is in the 2017 version. If you don't know that and you don't see that, something's really wrong with you and you're not a real movie critic. Yes, I'm critiquing you as a movie critic because I myself am a movie critic. And I actually say what's happening and say the real thing. If I don't like a movie, I'm going to say it. If I love a movie, I'm going to say it because I'm that honest when it comes to movies. I love movies. I absolutely love movies. This movie was much different. This movie, in my opinion, revitalized and rejuvenated and actually gave spark to the DC Extended Universe again. What will happen from here on out? We don't know. Could the movies be much more darker, which they should be? If they're not, I'll be very surprised. Aquaman wasn't dark. Wonder Woman wasn't dark. Wonder Woman 1984 was horrible. And Batman Superman Dawn of Justice was interesting. They just threw that in there to get together and actually make the Justice League. Man of Steel, which kicked off the DC Extended Universe when Zack Snyder first came on board with Henry Cavill in that first movie, was excellent. That was a dark movie, and that led to things. But did we think that this would lead to a, Justice League movie? No, we didn't. We still want Man of Steel 2. Now with Superman back, give us that Man of Steel 2 movie that we want. Give us villains that we haven't seen in the DC universe. Don't give us rehashed villains or reused villains, okay? Even Lex Luthor in this is maybe in it in only 2 scenes. That's it. We see him in the beginning and we see him in the end. And it's not a spoiler because if you already saw the 2017 version of Justice League, you know the ending I'm talking about. Great. Is Lex Luthor a threat? Maybe. I don't know. But if it's done right, he can be a threat to the Justice League. They could even be making the Injustice League. Who knows? Get the Joker, get, Deathstroke, get Lex Luthor, get other characters and villains from each character superhero's time, put them together to fight these superheroes and make one big epic movie. Granted, who knows? Will Zack Snyder come back? We don't know. Christopher Nolan even said to Zack Snyder, do not watch the 2017 version because it's utter shit. If Christopher Nolan, a prolific filmmaker and director, is doing that and saying that to another director, then you know that that movie is really, really bad. I love this movie for what it was. The DC Extended Universe is back, and I could say that the DC Universe is now a threat to Marvel. If they keep their pace like they are doing right now. Make the movies darker, make the movies what they are, and don't change any casting notices or anything like that by giving us a new different Batman, Superman, or Wonder Woman like that. Don't do that. Understand that if that's the case, give it a story why those characters left and someone else comes in and puts on the costume or the cape or the cowl or whatever, or wields the sword or the trident, something like that. I'm looking forward to seeing what's next in the DC Extended Universe because a lot of great things can happen out of this. This 4-hour movie was epic beyond words. It was fun, and I can't say enough about it. I have nothing bad to say about it at all. Some people might say the runtime, 4 hours is long. Yeah, it's long, yeah. But if you want to see a better version of the 2017 original, then you would sit there and watch it and not complain about the runtime. Because if you complain about the runtime, then you haven't sat through the Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit, or the Harry Potter series. The movie's broken up into 6 chapter guides for, easier watch if you don't want to sit through a 4-hour, movie. And the chapter and the epilogue and the prologue each have their own specific time of how long they last. And here it is. The prologue lasts 9 minutes. Part 1 is 28 minutes. Part 2 is 32 minutes. Part 3 is 42 minutes. Part 4 is 30 minutes. Part 5 is 32 minutes. Part 6 is 41 minutes. And the epilogue is 19 minutes. So if you add all that up, that's close to 4 hours and 2 minutes of a movie. Great. You want to watch chapter 1 and 2, finish it the next day, you can do that. You don't have to sit through a 4-hour movie if you don't want to. Watch the movie, in 1 day a week. You'll get it done. Or watch it in, consecutive days back to back. You can break this movie up for what it is. Just don't complain about a 4-hour movie where you, the fans, wanted this movie from the start. Don't do that. For me, Zack Snyder's Justice League gets 5 out of 5 stars. I would love to give this movie more. but my rating system leaves it at a 5. I would give this movie a 10 out of 10 if I could. Actually, you know what? I'm going to give this movie a 10 out of 10. Yeah, I'm just going to add 5 more stars to the other 5 that I already gave it, because this movie is that epic. Of course, some might argue with me that it's not, has its flaws, has its reasonings. Yeah, you know, some CGI is, you know, not clean or crisp. That's fine. Get over that. Watch the movie for what it is. If you're detailing it for, you know, the CGI or the editing, then you're not actually watching and enjoying the movie like you're supposed to. Like I said, if you're a comic book fan like I am, as you can see, I'm a big Batman fan. And I loved how that was portrayed in this movie. And I am not on the DC or Marvel side. I am one cohesive comic book fan. I like all the movies from DC. I like all the movies from Marvel. I read every single comic book that's out there. And I enjoy the storylines and the story arcs that's happening. If you like that, then watch this movie. Please, this movie is worth your time. Even if you think 4 hours is long, it's not. Just use it, watch it, break it up into days. Then you'll love it. You'll actually understand what I mean when each character has a story arc in this movie. Even the villain has a story arc. Even Darkseid has a story arc. Steppenwolf has a story arc. You give a movie, a comic book movie, where the characters have story arcs, and you explain each one individually, and where Cyborg is more prominent in this one than he was in the 2017 version, hey, I give Zack Snyder a round of applause. And I'm really curious to see what he does next, if he does do another comic book movie. Because after his experience with Warner Brothers, I could say that he's going to be stepping away for a while, a little bit. But if he doesn't, come back strong. Make Justice League 2, Justice League 3. Make Man of Steel 2. Give us those movies that we want, that we've been waiting for, and continue the story. Hey, listen, if Chris Terrio comes back to write the screenplay, great. Fantastic. You know this is going to be good. Leave DC as a darker universe and don't give comedic aspect to it like, you know, the past movies that we know of. That's it. So let me know in the comment section below what you think about Zack Snyder's Justice League. Do you think it's a better movie than the 2017 version? And I'm pretty sure most of you say it is, and it was, if you've seen it. And let me know what you thought about the characters and the story arc. Did you think that Darkseid was featured, you know, too much less of a character? And does Steppenwolf actually feel like a threat in this movie? And did you see him as much more of a threat than he was in the 2017 version? Let me know in the comment section below to the questions I just asked. And be sure you click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell for new videos on my channel. And you know where to follow Market Productions and me, Mr. Filmstock. I'll leave all the links in the social media accounts in the description box below. You guys can check it out and follow along. I'm Anthony. Thanks for tuning in.